Hi everyone, welcome to Slow Living Summit virtual conference. Today we have a really special treat. We have Karen Washington from Rise and Root Farm who's going to be giving us a virtual tour. We're sad we can't be all together in person, but this is kind of the next best thing. I'm just going to give a few minutes for everyone to join before I kick us off. We've got some more people joining. Numbers are going up. And we'll just give it a few more seconds. Great. Still more people coming on. That's great.
For sure.
Excellent. All right. My name is Lissa Harris. I'm the Executive Director of Strolling of the Heifers, and welcome again to our virtual Slow Living Summit. Today we have a really special guest, Karen Washington from Rise and Root Farm. Is going to be giving us a virtual tour of her farm and her space that she's cultivated over the years. I do just want to do a little housekeeping before we start. This panel was one of the panels that we offered free of charge when we put out our statement in solidarity for the Black Lives Matter movement. When we posted that on Facebook, we did get some hateful and racist comments on that post. And I just want to say that to anyone attending, we will not tolerate any hateful or racist comments or questions or comments in the question and answer box. And anyone who does that will be removed immediately from the webinar. We don't anticipate any issues. We have not had any issues, but we just want to make sure that that's clear right from the start. So I'm going to first say thank you to our sponsors, Breakthrough Beverage and Meadows Bee Farm, for allowing us to put on this virtual summit this year. And I'm going to pass it over to Jen Brandt, who is our Slow Living Summit coordinator, and she'll tell you a little bit about what to expect.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today. I'm super excited. The numbers actually just keep going up, even as Lissa was speaking, so very exciting. This is my second year coordinating the summit, and I tried to get Karen last year, and she wasn't available, but I'm so excited to have her here this year. We did a little pre-check call with her on it, and multiple people on that call who were panelists and other panels were also very excited to hear her speak and have heard her speak before. So I know that she's just a super pro, and she's on the farm, so that's super exciting. You get to kind of feel like you're outside a little bit. Hopefully the weather holds for her. And honestly, I'm just gonna go ahead and let her introduce herself a little bit further and take it away, and we're gonna take our screens off and have you enjoy her for the next hour. So thank you so much, Karen.
Yeah, thank you. Can everyone hear me? I hope you hear loud and clear. So welcome y'all to Rise and Root Farm. I wanted to say Black Lives Matter. This has been a trying time for all of us on the farm here. So here we are in Rise and Root Farm here in Chester, New York. We've been here since 2014. It has been a journey. The four of us, so it's Lori Clevenger, who you'll be able to see and speak to in a few seconds, and Jane Hodge and Michaela Hayes. So we all come from urban farming background in New York City. We also work around food and social justice, which is really important. Our journey really started out back in the early, I would say 2008, when we went on a retreat. And at the retreat, we all talked about farming together, a dream of farming together. We wanted to upscale from community garden to rural farming. And so we had this dream. However, the closer you are to New York City, the more expensive land is. And land, as you know, is expensive anyway. And so we took this journey up and down Hudson Valley, and we saw the ins and outs of farming. We also noticed that there weren't a lot of farmers that looked like us. And so when we were able to come along this part of the land up in Chester, New York, it was a new, I would say, a new organization called the Chester Agricultural Center, which was really starting to focus on new and beginning farmers to come and farm. And we were one of the original farm groups that are here. We have over, what I would say, Laura, around 160 acres of land, 160 acres of land. And the Chester Agricultural Center has been very, very instrumental in leasing this land to new and up and coming farmers. We have a 30-year, folks, believe it, 30-year renewable lease, unheard of. I won't be here in 30 years, I'll be almost 90, but anyway, set aside 30-year in the black dirt. When we talk about the black dirt, I'll get a chance to show you the black dirt, but it's actually black gold. We grow the best when it comes to vegetables and herbs, and we also grow the best weeds. This is something we'll talk about as we walk around. And so I want to also have a chance for you to hear from most of the owners and workers here at the farm. I'm going to start off with Lori Clevenger, who is my little sister, I call her, who have worked with me and really working along food and social justice. Here at Rising Root Farm, it's not about a farm, it's not just about farming, but it's how do we bring food justice and social justice, especially to marginalized communities, especially for farmers and for young people, young Black and brown people, to see people that look like us, and women farmers and LGBTQ farmers. So I'm gonna turn it over and let Lori speak a little bit about herself, why she came to Chester, and why she's part of Rising Root Farm.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting Karen and the rest of us at Rising Root Farm to participate today. And as a lot of farmers, especially small family farmers, I actually have 2 jobs. And I'm actually taking some time off of my other job, which is co-directing the US programs at an organization called Why Hunger, which does a lot of amazing work to both working with farmers and farm workers, as well as communities who are in need of access to food. And we are an organization that really focuses on food sovereignty and what that means, what that looks like. We support a lot of grassroots organizations here in the US and internationally, and helping them to realize that. And I just want to share with folks today a little bit about why I farm. And I farm, one, because after being able to get a plot in a community garden called Taco Community Farm in the Bronx, and growing food for the first time, eating that food for the first time, I was just filled with such a sense of freedom. And that experience is what really allowed me to open up, to fully understand my history as a Black person here in the US, and the stories and the narratives that I was given about being Black and agriculture. And just remembering, even in elementary school and high school, a lot of the narrative was around Black people being slaves. And so much of that language talks about us as being slaves. And so I just want to take a moment, like many folks have done already, but just kind of correct that. We were not slaves. We were kings, we were queens, we were communities, we were entire nations. And we were forced, we were abducted, we were murdered and brought into this continent and forced to work the land for other people. And that's part of my retelling of the slavery narrative here in the US. There's also a whole history that's missing from our story. And it's about the folks who escaped from slavery, who actually came into this continent not as slaves, but as free people, and who established whole communities based on agricultural industry that was not extractive and that was not exploiting people's labor, but really built on community. There were lots of cooperatives that were built, and most of that history has, if not been destroyed, has been so far buried, but so many folks in our community have been working very hard to resurface that. So I just want to put that piece out there. And it's also part of the reason why, I just love the women that I farm with. We all are in community together. We all call each other out when we are not being our best selves, when we are operating from white supremacy or we're operating from internalized racism. We have created a loving relationship where we can do that with each other. And it's something that it's part of my root, part of my foundation. And being part of a cooperative farm is key for me, because I firmly believe that until people own their own labor, we will not be able to end the exploitative and extractive capitalist business type systems that are controlling everything right now and controlling people's lives, and who gets to determine who has access to food, who has access to land, who has access to the means to just live a basic lifestyle. And those are just some thoughts that I wanted to share with folks here on this webinar. And I'm going to return it over to Karen, and I'm going to go back to my other job now. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Lori. You know, she's so powerful. A lot of things she had to say, you know, in light of what's been happening the last couple of weeks and months. So I'm going to take you like around a tour. That's what y'all came here for, right? To listen to a tour, to look at a tour, and also to see things that we're doing. So I'm going to turn the camera so you can see a lot of things. So here we do a lot of work in high tunnels. As you can see, the high tunnels come from a grant from the USDA. And I'm gonna go down and show you when I talk about black dirt, what does that mean? Because up in Chester, New York, in Orange County of New York, this land was once full of onion fields. But I'm gonna show you now. Look at this, folks. They call this black dirt. Actually, I'm gonna pick some up in my hand. Can you see this? This is black dirt, honey. This is gold. And we grow the best amount of vegetables and herbs. And guess what? We grow tons of weeds, as you can see. And so right now, we're in the midst of planting. As you can see, we're planting, we have basil. All right. We have parsley. We have cilantro and dill. We have Thai basil. We have more basil, more cilantro, and spinach. And so you can see, if you look at our spinach, you can see part of it is smaller than the other. And it's because here in the very beginning, when we started, a lot of compaction. And so as you move up, you can see the less that the soil is compacted, the more that you can see in terms of the quality of our spinach. And so I'm going to take you inside. I'm going to take you now inside our greenhouse, which the four of us constructed on our own with our hands. But I would like to say mostly it was Jane and Michaela, because as a result of COVID, my attendance on the farm has been really minimal. I've been in the Bronx the last couple of months because of the fact of this virus. And so we do 6 feet distancing to make sure that it's safe for me on the farm. And so I'm going to come inside. So I'm going to show you a work in progress. So right now I'm going to show you exactly what we're doing, because right now we are preparing for market. So this is our greenhouse. And 4 women with 4 hands did this.
With 8 hands, maybe.
Oh, 8 hands, right? 8 hands. And so I want to introduce you to Jane. Jane, again, is one of our partners, Jane Hart. So Jane, tell us a little bit about Rise and Root and what you're doing.
Okay, well, I'm starting to bunch these chamomile flowers right now. Hi, everybody, first of all. It's very exciting to have you on this virtual tour.
Hey!
You know, honey, you can't be here.
Right.
Go ahead, sweetheart. So one of the things, we're going to the Union Square Farmers Market tomorrow, and one of the things that we that customers really rely on us for are herbs. And so we're bunching some chamomile flowers, and I wish you all could smell these. They smell like amazing. I waft it towards the phone for you. So we do a lot of herbs, and then like Karen was just showing you the greenhouse. Right now, one of the things we're doing the most is plant seedlings. And it's been a really incredible year. So we started doing seedlings maybe 3 years ago, and we just did a little bit, and then we've grown. And then based on, you know, our customer feedback from last year, we really expanded our selection this year and made some tweaks to it. And so we've been growing a lot more, and it is such a incredible, it's such incredible timing to be doing that. Take these off so you can see me properly.
Hold it
I think probably I shouldn't hold your phone.
All right.
You know, just to,
Listen, go ahead.
sorry.
That's okay.
You have to hold it. So many people, because of COVID interrupting food supply chains, are like really more excited about growing food on their own than they ever have been, which is really awesome. So like we noticed it at farmers market, so many people are coming up and buying seedlings and saying like, this is my first time ever growing. How can I, you know, what can I grow in the shade? What can I grow on my windowsill? What can I grow in full sun? So we've been giving people advice like that. And then there's been like tons more people stopping by the farm, which is a mixed blessing, mixed bag or whatever. But it's been great because we actually have this. And since we all come from this urban farming background and this background where we're supporting other people growing food, to be in this place where we have the seedlings to help people grow food, and now there's like more interest than ever. So it's really exciting to be, I mean, it's awful what, you know, everything is also terrible. And it's also really nice to be able to support our communities in this way. So herbs and seedlings, and then we also do a lot of salad mixes, mostly during the winter, but we're starting to do it more in the summer and warmer weather. And we historically have specialized in tomatoes too, which I think Karen's going to show you some of the high tunnels.
So yeah, we'll take you to the high tunnel, and Jane will do her specialty because that's a specialty, tomatoes. It was a tomato that got me started, believe it or not, because back in the day, tomatoes weren't red. My relationship to a tomato that it grew on, that it was in a store, and that it was pink and it tastes like cardboard. So when I first started back in 1985 about growing food, the first 4 things I want to grow: tomatoes, collard greens, how to grow some collard greens, eggplant because it sounded funky, and peppers. And so when I put that seed in the ground and that tomato came up, first of all, it grew on a vine, folks. My relationship is that tomato was in a grocery store, that it grew on a vine, and it was red. And when I picked it and I bit into that red tomato, the juice was just flowing. I was like flipping crazy. I was so excited that I wanted to grow everything from avocados, from peaches to you know what, and realized a lot of that stuff I couldn't grow because it was tropical. But it started my desire and fire about growing food. And so now on this farm, tomatoes, we grow tons and tons of tomatoes, and we'll give you a look at the tomatoes that we're growing now. And so right now I want to also show you Bobby. Bobby's one of our workers here. And so she is putting together garlic scapes. If you can take a look, the end. So garlic scapes it's like the ends of the garlic plant. It's like this, I guess it's the seed of the garlic plant as it tries to propagate. And so, believe it or not, people used to throw this stuff away. And now it's become a delicacy, garlic scape. Who knew that we'd be making money out of a byproduct? And so I'm going to take you up and down the greenhouse so you can see a lot of the things that we're growing. You see, we have nasturtiums, we have marigolds, we have basil. I'm going slow. Janice, somebody go slow so you don't get dizzy. Okay. A lot of the stuff you can see, look at the spinach here. You can see the spinach is bolting. It's becoming very, very hot. A lot of us had to start really late because over in the East Coast, it was really, really cold. You can see we have some dino kale. Again, we have peppers. And for the last, I would say, a couple of weeks, this place was full because what we were doing also in New York City, we're growing a lot of seedlings for the community gardens in New York City. So we still have that relationship with so many community gardens in New York City, and we were growing a bunch of starts for Green Thumb, which is an organization that helps community gardens in New York City. And so we planted thousands of starts so that they can begin planting in the community gardens. And so here, we're getting ready for market. See, we have hanging baskets of nasturtiums that we'll sell at our market, some peppers. And so, like I said, we're in this greenhouse. And so this is a greenhouse which is different from a high tunnel. And do you in the audience know what the difference between a greenhouse and a high tunnel? Okay, so in a greenhouse, which we're here in the greenhouse, you can see we're allowed to do propagation and we're allowed to have plants on the table. You see? Plants on the table. The structure is the same, but there is a difference. This is a greenhouse. I'm going to take you now into a high tunnel, which is totally different. The difference between a greenhouse and a high tunnel is that the high tunnel, we have to grow in ground. We have to grow in ground, and it's part of the grant that we got from the USDA, which is giving farmers the ability to grow throughout the season. So it's part of season extension. So let's see, as I'll take you on a journey again. So again, here is the black dirt, y'all, that I was talking about. All right, and so far we have, this is a greenhouse. This is a greenhouse that we share with other farms. So here in the Chester Agricultural Center, it's not only Rise and Root. There are 3 different farms that occupies this space. We work cooperatively, even though we're not a cooperative group. We work cooperatively. That means we share a lot of equipment. We share ideas. And so this is the first greenhouse. When we first came to Chester Agricultural Center, this was the first greenhouse. And as Rise and Root got bigger, we decided to build this greenhouse you see right here, so that we can have our own plants. Because in this greenhouse over here, we have to share it with 4 other farms. And you can see it gets really, really crowded. So I'm gonna try to go really slow so y'all can get a picture of and see different things so you don't get motion sickness. And so, again, my journey has been a long journey in the food world. And coming up here and to be able to have 3 acres, we have 3 acres of land here. Right now we're on 1 acre of our land. And between each acre are ditches. And I'll get you to see the ditches. All right. And just look at the sky, look at the horizon, how beautiful it is. The mountains are in the background. Let me tell you folks, at the end of the day, you sit back, you're sweating, you're drained of energy because you work so hard, but then you sit back and you marvel at the landscape, you marvel at the mountains, you marvel at the sky, and you say to yourself that you're truly, truly blessed to be able to be one with nature. So here's our garlic patch. If you see our garlic patch, where we cut off the garlic scapes that you saw Bobby putting together. And you can see that we use a lot of hay, not hay, straw. You don't want to use hay, straw for weed pressure. Here a row of lettuce that we harvest as well. And so now I'm going to bring you into our high tunnel. And so remember, I said the difference between a greenhouse and a high tunnel, and this is the difference. So here's our high tunnel. And we have over 200 tomato plants that we're growing. Over 200 tomato plants that we're growing. We put down fabric we put down landscape fabric because of the weed pressure. So you can see the difference between when I came in was our greenhouse, and this is the high tunnel. And again, the high tunnel is a grant from the USDA that allow farmers to grow all year round. And so how do we sort of manage the soil here? So we use a walk-behind tractor, a BCS, because we want to try to minimize the amount of compaction on the soil. So we do a walk-behind tractor, which is a BCS. Also, I'm going to show you that we're surrounded, if I can see a picture, of ditches, water. So every acre that we're on, we're surrounded by ditches. So in order for us to go from 1 acre of land to the other, what we did is we put walking planks. So I'm going to have you come with me as we walk over to the next acre of land. But again, I'm going to try to walk slow so you can get a bird's eye view of the things that we're doing. So also, let me show you in the background, is that is our cooling barn and washing station. So a lot of our equipment is inside this green barn. This is our cooling barn, where after we harvest, we go in, and there's washing station there. And there's also a huge cooling barn so that we keep our stuff refrigerated after we harvest. Today is our harvest day. So we're preparing for market, which will be tomorrow at Union Square. So if any of you are in Manhattan tomorrow, come by and see Lori and Michaela, who'll be on hand to tell you a little bit more about our farm, but also will show you the amount of produce that we bring into market every Friday. And so, again, I'm going to walk along the plank. Let me find an area which is sort of safe. And so this is what we've done, is that between, again, here's the ditches. And so in order to go from one area, 1 acre to another, we walk along the plank. So let me just be careful as I try to walk along the plank to the other side. Made it. And so this is our acre land here. And as you can see, like I said, we grow great herbs and flowers and vegetables, and we grow great weeds. As you can see, the weed pressure here is enormous, and you really have to keep on top of it. So we just finished, as you can see, preparing this field here. I think we're going to be doing more edible flowers. You get a chance to see edible flowers. So, and bring you around here. And this is the BCS. This is the baby, y'all, that does a lot of the work. This right here. This is a BCS. It does a lot of the work on our farm. It's the 4 of us. We do most of the work with our hands and with this baby right here, this BCS. And so as you can see, we're going to get in here and to prepare our beds. So I'm going to take you again. This is a high tunnel. Like I said, it's a high tunnel. It's not a greenhouse. And as you can see here, these are bachelor buttons. And believe it or not, they came back, they reseeded. And believe it or not, folks, bachelor buttons are edible. Who knew it? Who knew that bachelor buttons are edible? And so a lot of the chefs, like a lot of our edible flowers that we put in, put in salads, and even the bartenders are now putting a lot of our edible flowers in their cocktails. And so again, these are bachelor buttons. You see here. And like I said before, we grow a lot of herbs that we're known for. And so I was just in here the other day because the weed pressure was so severe. And so now if you can see, we have bachelor buttons here that are coming back. Okay. Anise hyssop is here. That's here. You can see this is oregano. Oregano. I wish you were here to smell a lot of this stuff. So oregano, you know, has almost like a woody smell to it. But anise hyssop, this has a licorice smell to it. Smells really good. Okay. And here we have, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot, this is rhubarb. So we have rhubarb here. If you can see that, there's rhubarb here. So this is another high tunnel. Again, this is our baby here, folks. It's our tomatoes. Again, over 221 tomatoes here, 221 tomatoes in the other high tunnel. There's another high tunnel in the back that we're gonna clear and put some more tomatoes. And another plant that's really, really beneficial and really productive for us is called Lysianthus. It's not, I gotta see if I can show you if we planted it, but a Lysianthus looks like a rose, but it doesn't have any scent. And it lasts for a long, long time. And it's a big seller at our market. And so I'm gonna take you along, again, a tour. And this is where we have our mint. So we have mint, which is really, really good. This at one time was full of weeds and we worked to clear it. And so if I get a chance again for y'all to smell the mint, oh, it smells so divine, the mint. And again, we're surrounded by ditches. As you can see the water. And believe it or not, sometimes you see koi in the water. And the other day we had 2 snapping turtles that were fighting in the water. But again, I just want you to take a look. Look at the surroundings. Look at the mountains. Look at the sky. Look at the trees. And tell me, is this heaven? Is this the life when it comes to farming? So it's not about just farming per se. For me and for a lot of farmers, it's a spiritual act. You know, it's something spiritual to be close to nature, to be able to grow your own food and to nourish your own body and to share it with community. And I think that's the history when it comes to Rise and Root. This is why we do what we do. Granted, folks, farming is hard work. And a lot of people glamorize it and think about, you know, it's such a great life. And it is, but it's a hard life. It's a hard life. And many of us have 2nd and 3rd jobs. And many of us were hit by COVID. Many of us were hit by COVID. But it seems like in the beginning, it was so negative. But now people are realizing the importance of food. I think what this virus has done is giving people a chance to appreciate food and where their food comes from and appreciate the farmers who grew it. And I hope this continues. I hope, you know, after things die down with COVID, that people understand the relationship between food and health, but also put farmers as part of the essential workers, because we're out here growing food, making sure that, you know, people have fresh produce. Here, Rice and Rule, we're not certified organic, but we grow organically. We don't use any pesticides, no chemicals. You know what we use here? Sweat equity and sweat labor. That's what it is. It's perspiration and inspiration that's growing here at Rise and Root Farm. And again, you can see, again, look at the background. This is what it's all about, folks. This is what gets you up in the morning to be able to look at this. This is what means so much to me, you know, as a person of color, to have that opportunity to be able to come back to the land. I think a lot of our problems, especially in the African American community, in the Latinx community, is the fact that so many of us have moved away from the land. And as a result, we got dependent. We got dependent on processed food and junk food and fast food. And as a result, you saw the relationship between food and health, the type 2 diabetes, the hypertension, the obesity that is running rampant. And as a result of these pre-existing diseases, COVID has affected so many people of color because of the amount of food that they were eating. And so hopefully this is starting to change. This farm is starting to change every month. Every month during the summer, we have people come out. We have a community day. It's usually the last Saturday of every month that we would have people come out, and they would come and help us plant. They would come and help us weed. I call it weed aerobics. That means you want to get your groove on, is to come out here, because like I showed you, we got a lot of weeds. And so it's just bringing people in community. And you'd be surprised how many people in the city have never been on a farm. Never. Or have never seen women farmers, or Black women farmers, or LGBTQ women farmers. And so, you know, when people come out here, you know, we want them to feel like they're part of family. We want them to feel what we feel about this farm and how it has meant so much to us. And so, like I said, we have a community day the last, usually Saturday of the month, starting in June. We don't know what's going to happen this year because of COVID, but hopefully by August at least, people can start coming back onto the farm and come visiting the farm and come helping us, you know, plant seeds and plant vegetables and harvest food and sit down and just talk about what it means to come back to the land. A lot of colleges now come because evidently a lot of colleges have food studies. And so the students come out and they want to talk about food justice and food sovereignty. And those are things that we try to talk about, because those are terms that people are using all the time. You know, people are using those terms, food justice and food sovereignty. And I tell people it means nothing. Those terms mean nothing unless you're actively involved in working on the injustices that you see in the food system. And so this is a time right now, folks, where people are talking about equity, where people are talking about equity. And so for me and so many of us, is that food is a human right, y'all. Food is a human right. Everyone should have access to food that is healthy, that is fresh, that is local. And that's what we're trying to do here on Rise and Root Farm, is to get that message. But we need your help. We need your help. We need your help to shout it out, to make sure that everyone has that right to healthy food, food without chemicals, food that is provided by people who were out there in the trenches. We're talking about the workers that are out there that are harvesting a lot of the food that we're eating, to make sure that everyone is treated humanely. That when we talk about labor practices, we have to make sure that everyone is treated with respect. And so right now we've just finished harvesting some herbs, And here we put them in our water container here. So if you know what this is, folks, this is lemon aid, all right? So we sell this in a bunch at our market. And so if you look at this, you see what this is? Oh, you wish you could smell it, right? I wish you could smell it. Rosemary, definitely. All right, so we built this, believe it or not, you can do this too on the farm. So we built this washing station, and I'll show you why, because inside, it's crazy. 4 or 5 different farms are now using one space. So we decided in Rise and Rule, let's try to build our own washing station, because I'm gonna bring you right inside to show you exactly the space that we're sharing with other farmers. Again, I want to make sure that I maintain my 6 feet distancing, which is really, really important for me as an older farmer. So I'm going to bring you inside. Now, it may be a little dark when I bring you inside, so just bear with me. I'm going to be coming inside now. Okay, so here is Michaela, one of our farming partners, and good, you get a chance to see Michaela do her thing. This is her specialty. So Michaela, can you see yourself in here? All right, you can tell people what you're doing.
I'm not sure.
I think it's,
Oh yeah, there I am. Hi.
okay. So can you tell people what you're doing?
Sure. These are our edible flowers, which is something that pre-coronavirus we sold a lot of wholesale to restaurants at the farmers market in Union Square. And okay, you a little back. We still sell them at market at Union Square, but we have less of a wholesale market this year for obvious reasons. We have nasturtiums, what I like to call our boxes of sunshine. And we have bachelor's buttons, which are a really great, this is one of the awesome flowers that if you take the flower and pull it apart, then they're really fun for garnishing because it makes all these little itty bitty tiny flowers. And then we have
Oh, nice.
violas.
Look at that.
Yeah, which are just beautiful and perfumey. And then we have a few of this special flower that we grow called balloon flowers that you can see in here. These beautiful white star-shaped flowers. And they're one of my favorite things on the farm.
So Michaela, why did you farm? Why? Of all the things you do, because you are a chef. So why farm?
I started farming because I came to food through farming. I move myself a little this way. No, you move the camera a little that way. Okay. I cooked in New York City restaurants for over 6 years and really cooked at a lot of local seasonal places. The last restaurant I was at was a Gramercy Tavern. I was there for 3 years in various capacities and really learned to work with local growers. And my wife, Jane, had always wanted to farm for as long as I had known her. And when I left the restaurant, she and I went to California for a year so she could go through the agroecology program at UC Santa Cruz. And I worked out there doing some food production and soaked in as much of the farm at UCSC that I could. And we came back to New York City and really started planning the farm formally together with Karen and Lori. And once we got on the land, I was the one who was supposed to be mostly in the kitchen and less on the farm. And now I'm one of the folks who's more involved with the farm, mostly because I just love it. I'm completely hooked, addicted to the plants and the land and being out there. I know Karen gave you a tour of the birds and the bugs and the turtles, and we have a great blue heron that lives in our valley, sometimes with a partner, and we call it Auntie Heron. So we have our animal family as well as our human family, and it all makes the farm a wonderful, wonderful place to be.
Thank you, Mikhail. So I'm going to take them into the cooling barn so they can see the
To the cooler?
We're
Okay.
going to go into the cool. All right, we'll be back. All right, see, I told you how much fun we had farming, y'all. So I'm going to take you in. So this is, this is the cooling barn where we share with other farmers. All right. So you can't feel this, but it's cool here. So here, when we get our tomatoes and stuff, we'll put our tomatoes here. And let me just show you, because each farm designated space. So you can see Rising Root has their farm space here. Field Larder has a farm space here. Over here is Sunsprout. And I'm going to turn slowly. Over here is Dig-In space. Okay? But they're about to move. And because we have another area down, it's called Great Court, which is about a half a mile from here. So now I'm going to take you into where it's really, really cold. So you ready? Because it's so hot, but now we're going to go into where it is at. All right. So here, and look at the temperature. I think it's, let's see what the temperature here is. It looks like it's 50. It's 50 degrees. Talking loud because of the fan in here. And as you can see, this is where we place a lot of our produce for market. So here we are getting ready for market. So we have beans, we have lettuce, we have carrots are coming on board. The garlic scapes are coming on board. The rest of our herbs will be coming on board as we get ready for our Friday market down in Union Square. I wish I could say oh, let me just show you here. So this, I think this belongs to Charles, which is Field and Lard. And as you can see, he's getting ready with his strawberries. Let me tell you, folks, it's so cool here. It's a pleasure working here. But for me, you know, it's been a little hard because of COVID. And so, again, I got to be very careful. We all got to be very careful about distancing, wearing masks, and just, you know, being very, very careful about sanitizing. Yes.
I wanted to let you know, even if I forgot to mention this, and I know this has come up for people before, and it's slow living, right? So they're this is plant-based plastic.
Yes.
Just so you know.
See?
As eco-friendly as we can possibly be.
See? Plant-based.
Plant-based.
Okay. And this is right. And this is our storage area. So each farm has a spot inside here. We keep a lot of our equipment, as you can see. And so this is our equipment here. And then I'll show you our van. So outside here is our storage area. You can see a lot of our crates, a lot of the stakes that we're going to use for our tomatoes are here. Crates are here. And then we're going to get ready for market. Tomorrow's our market. And so again, isn't this beautiful? This is another tour, y'all. And so I told you from the beginning, we have 3 acres, right? We have 3 acres. And so 1 acre, this is our first acre. I told you the second acre is there. And our 3rd acre, believe it or not, is all the way over in between the fields that you see here, in between the field that you see here, and in between those high tunnels. So right in the middle, that's our 3rd field. And so what we use the 3rd field is for rotation. So we try to rotate, every year try to rotate so that we respect the land and we don't deplete the soil, even though it's high in organic matter, it's rich soil, and you don't want to deplete it. And this is where we have our own compost. Here you can see compost here. So nothing really is wasted on our farm here. And so I don't know how much time we have. I mean, I know I've been talking a lot, but
Hey, Karen, this is Jen. We got like 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. Okay. So thank you so much. So just like, what can I say, folks? This has been a journey for me. This has been a journey for me. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a farmer. You know, if I said to my parents, I'm going to be a farmer, they would look at me like I was crazy. You know, I did go to school, I got straight A's, and I became a physical therapist, and I loved being a physical therapist, but there was always something inside me when I bit into that first tomato back in 1985, and then went off to California to this program called CASFIS, the Center for Agroecology and Sustainable Food System, in 2008, and put my hand in the soil. And once I put my hand in the soil, I got that sense of belonging, that this is something that, you know, it was meant to be for me. And so I've been trying, you know, to convey the message of farming with so many young people, because there's so many young people that want to farm. And I enjoy that passion of them wanting to farm. And the fact that so many people, you know, young people want to farm, and I just want to make sure that we give them the right message. And so we have 10 more minutes, and like Jane said, I need to sit down. Are there any questions? Because we're talking a lot.
Karen, yeah, we have a half an hour Q&A after this too, but we have a ton of questions.
Okay, so I just want to let Jane, while I catch my breath, because Jane's going to talk about the tomatoes. Yeah, we got 10 minutes. Jane is going to do the tomato. All right, perfect. Tomatoes. Yeah, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Go.
Okay.
Do your thing.
Karen like really needs to breathe. Relax. It's hot out here. It's hot and muggy out here. Okay, so I'll take you out to the newest tunnel that we just did. So when we got started, I don't know, Karen, did you tell them about the we'll do 5 things? Okay, so when we got started, we had this farmer mentor tell us, you know, if I could do it all again, I would pick 5 crops and I would start really small, and I would really focus on those crops, and that's all I would do, and I just build up clients for that. And we're like, that sounds really smart. We're gonna do that. So what's hysterical about the way we interpreted that, we're like, yes, we'll grow 5 crops. One of them will be flowers. And sorry, I'm getting a call. Okay, I'm back. One of them will be flowers, and we'll grow 80 different kinds of flowers. It's going to be amazing. And the other one is our second crop is going to be herbs, and we'll grow 20 different kinds of herbs. And so we grew 10 billion different things, and we grew, 2 square feet of each thing, and it was ridiculous. And one of the things we really learned after the first year, that we needed to cut down, and then after the second year, we kind of needed to do it again, and just really hone in on what it is that we can do and what we can do well. And one of the things from the beginning that we actually were able to do is grow tomatoes. And Karen, I know, mentioned the High Tunnel grant that we got, which has really changed the way we do tomatoes. We were doing it all outside before. Now we're mostly doing it inside. So first, I'll show you. We probably have 15 different varieties of tomatoes in here. Most of them are heirloom varieties. So they've been passed down through generations, and they have amazing flavor, and they look crazy, and are all different colors. We like to grow a bunch of different colors of them. And then some of them are hybrids that are that are bred specifically because they're really good in high tunnels, because there's a bunch of diseases that that tomatoes in high tunnels get, and it's so hot in here that it's really hard to talk. Okay. So I just want to point out like kind of how we do a lot of this. Like you can see on the ground, there's this fabric, it's landscape fabric. We started using this because the weed pressure, did Karen talk about weed pressure in the black dirt? No, so it's amazing. Did she talk about the soil at all? Okay, so we have super fertile soil, and what that really means is that the weeds love it and they go crazy and they're like, "Woo, this is great!" So the weeds grow like twice as fast at least, and twice as big as any weeds that I've ever seen before. So the biggest learning curve that we've had on this farm is how to manage the weeds. And this landscape fabric here is one of the major ways, because tomatoes are a really long season crop. We put them in, last year we started in April. This year, with all of the delays from the coronavirus, we're like at least a month behind schedule. So, but then they're in until October. And so that's plenty of time for lots of weeds to grow, lots of generations of weeds to grow. So we put the landscape fabric down and that blocks it. And then the other thing that it does is it helps prevent a lot of the diseases that spread that are specifically soil-borne diseases. This isn't specifically about tomatoes. Did Karen talk about the tarps that we use?
She talked a little bit. We did have some questions about them. So,
oh, okay, cool.
You can talk about them, or we can wait for Q&A as well.
Okay, well, I'll talk about it a little bit as we walk past. Because it's, right here we have these prepped beds and the tarping. Sorry if it's repetition, but so basically what it's doing, we leave the tarps down for at least 3 weeks, and any of the weeds that are any of the weed seeds that are in there they're super excited to sprout, because it's a nice dark moist environment. They sprout and then they come up and they're like, oh, there's no light, and so then they can't survive. And so it actually like really helps kind of get through the weed seed bank that's in there. And it's totally changed the way we farm also, being able to do that. It just means we can grow so many more things.
The sun's coming up. It's really nice there now.
I know, it's nuts. Today it's been like thunderstorms, and then 5 minutes later, like really hot and muggy, and then thunderstorms again. But yeah, it's beautiful. Did Karen give you guys like a good like panorama of the valley?
Do once more time. I mean, she kept looking, but if you want to do a slow one, that would be awesome.
Okay, yeah, I'll do a slow one. Sometimes when I come out here, like especially when I'm closing up at the end of the day, everything's quiet and the birds are out and the bullfrogs are doing their like boom, 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 boom. It's just like, this is not what we were looking for in the landscape of a farm when we were looking, but I feel really blessed. So I'll start over. Okay, now we're at the back of our 2 fields. You hear those frogs?
They're loud.
Yeah.
Wow. I gotta say, she did this earlier, but it was a bit cloudy when she did it, so this is a totally new view either way.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Cool. So these are beds that we have not prepped yet, but I'm taking you all to the other high tunnel where we have tomatoes planted, so I can show you like they're a little further along, and also we have like a little more structure going on in there. So here they are, and we in this one, like we couldn't bring ourselves. We planted this Swiss chard over the winter, and we couldn't bring ourselves to take it out, so that's why it's still in here amongst the tomatoes. So one of the things that we do, these tomatoes basically, like, can you see the roof from all the bars up there? These will grow all the way up to the rafters. They love it in here because it's just so hot. Rains, tomatoes don't really like a lot of like rain on their, or water sheltered in here. And so those poles up there, we hook string and we bring it down here and we attach it to the plants, like kind of like right at the base there, or underneath branches come off. We'll attach 2 strings so that it has like one stem going that way and one stem going that way. And we cut off a lot of the bottom leaves and try to get a good aeration in here. I don't know if this is like interesting to people or not, but
I think this is super interesting. I will say, we are at 4 o'clock and we had some questions, but I think there's some that you could answer while you're walking back to Karen.
okay, cool.
So we had Douglas Cook says, is Chester Agricultural Center a land trust?
No, it's not a land trust. I'm sorry again if I'm repeating stuff that Karen said. It is now a nonprofit. It started out as an LLC, and it was basically a bunch of investors that wanted to support new farmers. And so they actually purchased the land as the LLC, and then kind of quickly realized that it wasn't going to work because we were paying a lot for rent and they were not getting their return. And so they switched into a nonprofit, which has been amazing because now they're doing more, like the mission of it is really to support new farmers and to help convert this valley to organic farming. So no, it's not a land trust. They own the land though that we're on. I think maybe like 150 acres approximately. I'm not exactly sure what the what the total is. And we have, we've all signed a 30-year renewable lease. So, you know, we're here as long as we want to be, basically.
Have they met our farm dog yet?
Oh, this is the star of the farm.
Farm dog.
This is Kimchi.
Kimchi.
I mean, we love seeing any kind of animal or child on these calls. It's just
Yeah. They're pretty much the highlight.
Well, we had a comment and a question. Karen, how are you feeling?
We're over here. We're over here. Questions? Okay, questions?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be on a
Oh, okay.
2 of us are here.
All right. Questions? You're doing 6 feet distancing.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Keep it focused at you and I'll.
No, we're all here. Questions?
First of all, I want to say thanks, Karen. That was a really amazing tour. That was awesome. And the sun shines out now because you brought it out.
But wait a second. I didn't think we could do this, right? Who knew?
No. I know. I pushed Karen to do it. I was like, it'll be fine. It was fine. We had a little bit of scratchiness in the cold, but that's to be expected. So thank you. And as an Indigenous woman, for me personally, it's so important to see representation and to see, you know, Black and brown folks farming. I grew up in Vermont and I'm in Brooklyn now, but if you could see behind my computer, it is a greenhouse in here right now. So I'm on the same page as you. So excited you're doing this work. It's just, for me personally, just so awesome. All right, so we'll jump into questions. We have Julie Snork who says, and this was at the very beginning, the woman that you first introduced, she said, could the current speaker please restate her name and the organization where she works on her non-farm job?
So that's Lori Clevenger, and it was Why Hunger.
Why Hunger? Okay, perfect. All right, so that is first. There's so many here, and they keep coming in. All right, so we'll try to get to as many as we can. We have Chef Sue Leventhal, who says she's a good friend of yours, and she said hello to Karen and Lori. She says, I'm cavelling. I hope I'm pronouncing this Jewish pronunciation right. I'm cavelling and enjoying this presentation so much. I wish you were supplying the farmers markets closer to me because we don't get into Manhattan at all anymore. Love you both. So I think that's a request to get closer to her. And then she asked, what kind of fabric do you use on the tarp crops, to tarp the crops?
Yeah, so first of all, we do the tarping because, like I said from the beginning, the weed pressure is enormous. And so we do, like, if you can see we were doing spinach, which is now spectacular. It was so hard to grow spinach here before tarping because of the weed pressure, basil, cilantro, a lot of, right, you really couldn't do any direct sowing because by the time the first sort of germination started, the weeds, forget it. And so now we're growing, as you can see, spinach and basil and cilantro and parsley. A lot of those things we couldn't grow without tarping. So thanks for that question.
Okay. The next one is from L'Oreal Crowder. Thank you, Karen, for giving a tour of the farm. Do you have exotic vegetables that you grow?
No, not when you say exotic vegetables. No, not at this time. We try, we try because we are a for-profit farm. We're not a non-profit farm. So we really have to try to grow medicinal herbs and produce that we know that would help bring income. But you know what? Food for thought. Maybe like on the side, we could start doing a little something totally different. For years, we keep saying we're going to do our own garden, but we don't have time. But thanks for bringing that up. Maybe we'll try and do something like that.
And maybe they have some ideas for you, so who knows?
Yeah, send them.
From Douglas Cook, we have, can you speak about the shared resources between the other farmers?
Yeah, definitely. So in the very beginning, so we have monthly farm meetings, believe it or not, with the other farmers. We have monthly farm meetings just to talk about how things are done, any questions we may have between us as farmers and the Chester Agricultural Center. We share the BCS, we share our lawnmower, we share Diggin and Sunsprout have been very instrumental in giving us like different varieties of crops that grow well. First of all, I think with our basil, so we were getting a lot of mildew with our basil. And so there's a crop of basil called, I think it's Genovese, that we now use, which it doesn't prone to mildew. And that came from a discussion with the farmers. So it's like, what are you doing or what best practices are you using? We share those ideas. Good question.
Great. Okay. Chef Sue again says, if Marcia and I come to the farm for a visit, do you sell crops on site? She's really trying to
now,
get.
Sue, don't go there, Sue, because now, Sue, you think I want to charge you? I can't wait to see you so we can put our arms around each other. And so, like I said, our farm is a healing farm, a loving farm. We have a community day every month, and we'd like to have people support our farm, which was always good. But it also, they leave with a little something. It's a little something.
There's your answer. All right. Oh, someone just changed that. Okay. So do you see interest from young people to farm? I know there's a Young Farmers Association. What organizations have you helped?
Yes. So again, we still have this connection to community gardens in the city, Farm School NYC, and also every year Lori and I, along with our other partners, we do the Black Farmers and Urban Gardener Conference. This year would have been our 10th anniversary. Fingers crossed, we may have to do it virtually. We don't know. Usually it's in the fall. But what gets to me is so many young people that want to farm. Growing up, if a young person said that they wanted to farm, a person of color, it was like, are you kidding? That's slave work. But now since people understand the history around farming, they want to grow. They also know the relationship between food and health. These young kids, I mean, they're smart, and they know that in order to protect their body, that they have to eat healthy. And so a lot of young people want to eat healthy, but a lot of people want to grow food because there's power in doing that, folks. There's power in growing food.
Yeah, the tomato thing's a good analogy because there's no comparison between.
No, you eat a tomato off a vine and you're hooked.
It's very true. I do want to say again, thank you one more time. I'm going to try to get on my bike and get to the farmers market tomorrow morning if I can, Union Square. I'm going to pass it on to Alyssa to ask you the rest of the questions. I'll say goodbye.
Thanks.
Great, thanks, Jen. And Karen, thank you so much. That was just a delight. And I swear at one point I could smell the mint that you were putting in front of the camera. Just amazing. So we've got a question from Cynthia Bottoms. She asks, what has been your biggest challenge, and do you see any effects from climate change on your farm? Love your work, care, love, and sharing of farming. Thank you.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much. Yes, you see the effects of climate change because you see in terms of the weather. One year it's really extremely cold, and you can't put things in the ground until late May, early June. And some seasons it's so much rain that you know, again, delay in putting things in the ground. The ups and downs in temperatures, even early spring, not early spring, I think beginning of maybe mid-May, there was snow here. So yes, so we're very conscious in the amount of, again, pressure, compaction that we put in. We do drip irrigation to conserve water. We try to grow plants that are not heavy feeders, you know, so we don't grow corn because we know that's a heavy feeder, needs a lot of water. And so we're very cognizant of that. It showed you we try to do composting because even though this is black dirt, you don't want to in your head exploit it. You want to make sure that if we're taking stuff from the soil, we got to put it back. That's a great question. And I hope everybody understands that farming is definitely, farmers definitely see the effects of climate change. Great question.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Chef Sue wants to know if you want to talk about bugs.
Yeah, I was just talking about bugs. I don't know if any of you are in New York State, but one of the things that we're trying to do is now that everyone is talking about equity and talking about ways that they can help Black farmers and Black farms organization. You know, we have a group that we've been working for a long time because, you know, now we're talking about equity. Everybody wants to know where are the Black farmers, where the Black farms. And if you're from New York State, you know, if you can do a shout out to the governor, shout out to the ag commissioner, because according to the census, something we have been working on, there are 57,000 farmers in New York State. 57,000. And out of those 57,000, according to the 2017 census, only 139 are Black. We've been looking for those farmers. We can't find them. It's 2020. And so we've been trying to bring that to the forefront because how can you talk about an equitable food system if those numbers are low, depleted, and then we don't have a new generation of Black and brown farmers that want to farm. And so we've been asking the governor and the commissioner, they need to put at least $10 million in a program to help the next generation of Black and brown farmers because that's one of the things that Bugs is doing. That's one of the things that SoFi is doing. That's one of the things that the Black Farmer Fund that we just started is trying to do is make people aware of discriminatory practices that happen throughout. And now is the time when racial equity is at the forefront of everybody's mind and people wanted to support Black farmers and Black businesses. I need to hear your voices to the governor, to the ag commissioner, Richard Ball here in New York State, that they got to do something about those numbers. 57,000 farmers in New York State, 139 Black. That's my heart, that's my passion, that's what I work for, to try to get people to understand that that's unacceptable.
Thanks, Karen. Can you just remind us what BUGS stands for so that we can look them up?
Black Urban Growers, and we were the first to start at the Black Farmers and Urban Gardening Conference back in 2010. And we started that conference because when we would go as Black people, when we go to conferences and workshops, food and farming conferences, we could count on both hands. No, I would say one hand of how many people that look like us. And so there was a need for us to have a conference that talked about our issues, but also talked about our knowledge and about some of the work that we were doing as people of color. And so it has grown. So now it started in New York, but we have been in Oakland, and we've been in Detroit, and we've been in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we've been in a lot of places. And like I said, this year would have been our 10th anniversary, but somehow we're going to find a way to celebrate that.
Yeah, thank you. I think you may have answered this next question, but I'll ask it anyway, just in case you want to expand on it. Mary Egan asks, if there was one law in the agriculture sector, what would you, that you could change, what would it be?
One law?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, one law. It's not about law. It's about, let's change the attitude. You know, law, I mean, it's about how do we change attitudes of people? You know, for so long have really forgotten, you know, this COVID and this racial equity question that we're talking about has really brought to the forefront the racism that we as Black people have continued to feel. And so how do we change people's mind? How do we change people's perception of Black people in a way? And I try to tell, you know, it's not ours as Black people to sort of always be out there telling people this is what we want, this is what we need. But we're now asking white people, is white people have to stand up on our behalf to, when you see injustice, to speak out. When you see, if I'm going in a store and you see people following me, you need to stop and say, why are you following her? If you see, like I'm just saying, 139 Black farmers in the state of New York with 57,000 farmers, you got to say something wrong with that. When you see people living in poverty, you know, people saying on food, we're the greatest country in the world. The question I ask, why do we have hunger and poverty? Oh, we got to speak up against that. We got to speak up. But white people need to be behind us and speak out. And not only have us be complaining all the time, but be there, because in the past, I was there fighting with you. Now, I need you to fight for me.
Thank you, Karen. Well said. Kim O'Shea asks, I'd love to hear more about generally how many people, full and part-time employment, are involved with Rise and Root, and some too about how the volunteers come to lend a hand.
Yeah, so it's the 4 of us, and we have a part-time person. You see Bobby. Bobby is part-time. So it's the 4 of us. Jane and Michaela are here full-time. I'm just starting to come back because of COVID and my age. I'm 66, believe it or not. I'm 66 years of age. And so the COVID, I had to be very, very careful about coming back on the farm. And they've really been very, very instrumental in making sure that there's distancing. When I come to the farm, wearing masks, making sure there's hand sanitizers, everything. They have really made this, the farm very, very safe for me to come back. So I'm coming back now at least 3 times a week now. I'll be coming back 3 times a week, whereas before I was coming at least 4 times a week. We work Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have to take the day off, but Bobby is our part-time person. Like I said, when the COVID is over, we have community days. That means the last Saturday of the month, we do a tour, like I'm doing now. We do a tour. We do an hour tour, and then the last half hour, we do Q&A. And we have people bring their lunch, and it's a great time. So look forward to that on our website. Hopefully, maybe August. I'm thinking maybe August we can start back with the farm tours. But everyone is welcome. Like I said, it's a healing farm. If only you want to just come and look at the sky and the mountains, you know, you can do that, you know. But if not, I'm going to put you to work and doing weave aerobics. And that means getting your hand dirty and pulling on weeds.
Great. Well, Karen, you can let us know too when that tour is going to happen, and we can share it with all our attendees.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know what? This has been absolutely great. When I was asked to do a virtual tour, you know, in the midst of what's going on, I said to myself, how is this going to happen? A tour? But I just want to thank you all at Slow Living Summit for including me in this conference and for allowing people to see, because we believe it or not, you know, we tell people you're a farmer, they don't believe it. They think that, you know, that you're just doing a fairy tale. But when they really come out and they see the work that 4 women have done, 4 women with our hands have done, you know, it's through the grace of God. You know, I farm because I know my ancestors are looking down, and I know they're so proud, you know, to see a Black woman carrying on the tradition of my ancestors. And I feel that each and every day when I'm out in that field, and giving them thanks, because I know many times they were out in the field 15, 16 hours at a time, no break, no water. And so when I get tired out there, I got to remember my ancestors did so much so that I could live and be the person that I am.
Oh, Karen, thank you so much. This was amazing, amazing, amazing. And I just want to let all our attendees know that we did record this tour. It will be available on our website. I have a feeling lots more people are going to want to watch this video, Karen. You are blessings to you, because you're just a delight. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, everybody.
Before we go, real quick, just want to remind everybody that we do have a virtual happy hour coming up in half an hour. So that's just, you know, it's BYOB, Karen. So
No, I got to go.
lemon balm. It's just another opportunity to kind of, you know, ask some more questions in a more informal atmosphere. So if you're around and available, 5 to 6:30, you can pop in whenever you want, pop out whenever you want. Just sort of more informal, fun, happy hour atmosphere. So thanks again, Karen, so much.
Thank you, everybody. Happy farming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.